So growing up, my teachers were always telling me about like how competitive some fields like music can be, and they were talking about how hard it can be, and they were full of crap because no matter how many tears I've cried in my car or how many breakdowns I've had, I wouldn't trade any of that for going back to working the jobs I was working before I devoted my life to music. Not a single one of those. Because literally every time I'd be in there with tears in my eyes, I'm like, oh, it feels so good to let that out. Then I smile and be like, huh, it's not always going to be like this. And this is way better than punching the clock at a job I hate like I used to. This video isn't going to have a lot of playing because I'm just trying to get you paid. Because if I can get paid, you can get paid. I'm gonna break down numbers right now. So that's the awkward part. No one wants to talk about money because it seems like everybody's always making a lot of money, or they're making no money, or they're lying about it. I mean, my friends who are musicians, they make decent money. Like a lot of them gig as like their primary source of income. Music is also a side income. The first thing you should do is set your expectations. For me, I want to be my full-time income. And like when things really start picking up, I said, you know, bro, I'm not really having a great time right now. Like the first week where I thought like everything was about to take off, I also was doing photography. I was getting camera gigs. I was getting guitar gigs. I'm like, bro, I think I'm just stop going out and stop taking gigs. This isn't fun. I don't want this to become a chore. So, and I was so upset. I was so worried that that wouldn't be okay. I was so worried that like I devoted all this time, felt like all this time playing those long practice sessions. It's cool, bro. I'm still making money doing music. I get gigs still. It's all right. Like, and I enjoy myself. There's so much less stress now. I don't got as much money as I like to have, but there is so much less stress. Still make money doing the stuff I love. All my income now is stuff I'd rather be doing than punching a clock. And it's okay to punch a clock. I just realized like early on, because I've had so many jobs. I realized early on, I'm just not somebody. I can hold down a job. I've done great at the jobs I've worked. I usually rise up high really quickly in the jobs I've done. I just don't want to trade my happiness for that. And honestly, a lot of times I was like, I wish I was someone who didn't have something wrong with me. I wish I was someone who could just go to work, get their money, and do what they're supposed to do. But what are you supposed to do, bro? It's life. You die. Like Marcus Aurelius would quote famous people who lived like before him, and like them, their children, children, and everyone who knew them is dead now, in the dust, gone and buried. Have fun with it, or at least, dude. So, oh yeah, money. I said I get straight to the numbers. My average guitar gig is like $150. Like, I don't ever look for guitar gigs. People just call me. And my average photo gig is $100 to $300. Well, I kind of don't, even though that's why I decided I put my focus on, I'd much rather make YouTube content than look for photography gigs. So I just let them come to me. Like I'll usually have like pretty solid income on the weekends. When I was playing in church, I was getting underpaid. I'll talk about churches later. After I finish my vid, I realized I never talked about my church experience. So I'll do that really quickly. The camera battery is being charged. I already put the SD card in computer, so we're on my phone. So here's my thing with churches. I showed up like a few months into playing guitar, and like I showed up to a rehearsal because I told my mom I wanted to play. So the musician said to just show up. So the organist was like, "Hey man, if you're gonna play, you need to be really well played. So we can't hold your hand with this." So I said, okay. So they were playing a song, and I like all my videos talk a lot about pentatonic scale. I've been playing with backing tracks. I knew how to shred the pentatonic and listen, play with the music, play the melodies, and like it was the men's choir rehearsing. They were going crazy. Just had like a small little katana or something I put on plugged into the wall next to them. I just like stood there and like played. I played like lead lines. I played accompanying lines, and they were like, "Yeah, man, show up on Sunday." And that was it. And then like the pastor's like, "All right, you gotta let me know that you were playing." More debacles with them later. They owe me money for a photo shoot, but I ain't even worried about them. That's why I can talk about it right now. Be careful what church you go to, because this is a church I grew up in. When we lived in Quincy, Florida, up north at a small church, this pastor knew me as a tiny little kid. Like I blinked into consciousness in the church, bro. Like I was and like when I showed up for photography, they didn't like he wouldn't even really say my name. He said the photographers and Curtis. Curtis was the choir director. He quit after this debacle because he's the one who got me a job. And he's like, they're not about to embarrass me because I told you I'd get you your money, and they agreed to price to make it look stupid. But anyway, back to the guitar part of it. I was getting paid $100 a week, which was great to me because I didn't even really expect to get paid. I just wanted more experience playing. but like I was getting paid $100 a week. Then when I switched to bass because another guitarist came in and wanted to play, like I said, okay, I'll hop on bass because we don't have a bass player right now. Like we got pulled in because he was like, you guys aren't all tithing and blah blah. I'm like, paying back 10% of the money you just gave us, bro? Like, is us providing music on? I'm like, dang, I didn't even know you were expecting this. And I had been giving tithes, but he's like, the amount was too small for him. So he's like, what about your other job? Because I was subbing as a priest before I became like a full-time preschool teacher. I was like subbing for that, and I'm like, Pastor, I'm like 20 to 30 hours a week with that. I'm like, all that is going to my bills. I have nothing left over. He's like, okay. And then like in the contract, I'm like, it says here that we're all getting paid $150 an hour. I'm getting paid $100. So even the new guitarist is getting paid $150, but that whole time I was getting paid $100. So they gave the next paycheck, they gave me like a double check. That was all they did, and then they just put me at $150 in there. No back pay or anything. So like that's my experiences with churches. If you find the right one, the next one, they pay me like $100 to $120, $150 sometimes if they could afford it. And like they were so happy to have me there, dude. Like I even get texts now like hey, just thinking about you, miss you. This was a small little strip mall church, but they did their best to make sure that I was happy. They always express their thanks for me and all that. So if you find the right church, it is a great place to play music. If there's some people who play at churches who aren't really religious, I grew up religious. I'm a lot more spiritual than religious now, but it was a fun experience because the music can get difficult and music gets fun to play. But yeah, that's my experience with churches. Because churches can be a great source of money for the musicians if you find the right one. But yeah, that's about the amount of money I'd make from the gigs at what I consider very, very middle of the pack skills. Like I think there are some areas I excel at, especially like the teaching aspect, because I also like my guitar lessons are usually about $50 for an hour. But like yeah, like my skills, I don't think I'm like crazy one of the greatest players ever. I definitely am, but you know. Here's the 3 criteria for getting a gig, I think. Having the ability to do the job, being available for the job, and have them like you enough to be able to spend 3 45-minute sets per usual with you. And like those are like the 3 top ones in my mind for me getting jobs. It might be different for other people. Some people might have higher or lower standards, but those are all I've ever needed to get a gig. I haven't gotten it. Like when I see people like going for gigs and like putting their stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really competitive. I'm not competitive in that aspect. I don't want a gig that bad to like be trying to like outdo someone else or something like that. Like if there's an audition that I think of something I really want to do, I'll definitely grind. I'll grind 6 hours a day for that, but just haven't found that opportunity. Like if I auditioned for T-Pan's band, I did the open audition. I sent in like a quick video I made, like probably took me about 10 minutes, but I'm like, you know what? If there's a chance for me to get called to the audition in Atlanta, I want to go for it because working with T-Pain is something I really want to do. I was born in the same state he was. I'm born in the same city he was. It's a really cool thing. I've like loved him since I was a kid. Even with these notes, I'm still yapping. But like I said, that's all it takes to get paid. Like if you look at my guitar skills, I think I do some things really nicely, but to me, I'm very sloppy as a guitarist. Like I'm here to vibe. I get paid off of vibes, like completely just vibes. I think when I do put a lot of work into, or when I'm like actually preparing, I do a great job because I'm a classically trained musician. But like always, it's just been for me, it's been embarrassing in the past to kind of just like buy my way into something like, oh, I could have been better on that. I'm kind of upset that I wasn't. I don't like the image that I put out of myself. So getting paid, I think the way if you're once you acquire the skills, and the video immediately after this is going to be about acquiring, like the one I plan on making is the skills I think you need to get into the field. And I think anybody is capable of doing it. I believe that in my heart as someone who's taught like not only like high schoolers, but also like little kids and adults who are starting it way later in life. But I think anybody can acquire the skills, and that'll be my next video. So one is just persona, literally your persona of like how you present yourself. Picture this. Picture you have 2 people for a gig. One's a pretty good guitarist. One's the best guitarist you ever heard. The pretty good guitarist, great guy, you like him, love spending time to him, always great conversation. Other guys, who would you rather spend 3 hours with? Say you're playing like a bar on a Friday night. Do you need the greatest guitarist in the world to be insufferable for 3 hours? Or do you have the guy who's a pretty good guitarist and he's a great hang? I've been the guy on the left a lot. Sometimes I've outdone people who I think, sometimes I've like been a better choice than the other option, but most of the time I'm the guy on the left who's a pretty good guitarist and a great hang. Like most of my guitar friends, phenomenal guitar players, phenomenal guitar players. Like at some points I was like, why would I even compete? But like either they themselves or people who know me and them will still call me for gigs. Because like I said, skills, being likable, and being available. Those are my 3 criteria of getting paid. So let's go down on the subject of persona. I think I attribute a lot of my success to manifestation. I attribute my YouTube growth to manifestation because it took me for a while to get to 500, and then like sat down in some long meditations and just like I decided what would it feel like if I was Cat. I'm putting the cats outside with the dog broke. I said, what would it feel like if I was the guitarist who had 1,000 YouTube subscribers? If I was a guitarist who got these gigs, and literally every time I do that, I'll get a call that night or the next day. Maybe woo to you, but it makes a lot of sense to me. It feels like I'm opening myself up to the opportunities and putting myself in that receiving mode for those opportunities. So like, I've noticed there's opportunities every single day of your life, but most of the time your brain is just blocked, like the sounds that occur all the time that you don't hear anymore. Your brain's blocking those out because either you don't think you're ready for them, or you're just like not attuned to being the person who would be available for that opportunity. And that's what I 100% think is like a lot of my success. Last week, I was so happy to hit 500. People on my Instagram can tell you I was posting like crazy, like, I can't believe it. This is great. Thank you. I almost quit, but thank you to my friend Fabian. We're outside 1010 Brewing for a jam. And I was like a little down on myself. I'm like, let me go out. I want to play, see the homies. And he's like, nah, man, you've been putting in work. You've been doing it. And I thought the stuff I was putting out was garbage. And I still kind of, a little bit, but we get in that stuff. We get in that mental right. Because if your mental's positive things happen. But like those words, he's like, no, I see you putting in the work. And that was all I needed to release like my first video on fretboard fluency, like probably 9 or 10 days ago. I don't remember, maybe 2 weeks ago. And when the video started doing well, I started seeing subscribers coming. I was so happy I released another one. More subscribers came in. And today, like I'm at like 1,200. I was so happy. I hit 1,000 yesterday. And my friend told me that he's like, bro, when you hit 1,000, like my other friend, you're probably gonna blow up. I hit 500 and 1,000 came like 2 or 3 days later. You guys were just coming in, and I asked myself, how can I provide the most value? And there you all were. Once I started providing value, you guys were happy that I was like, oh, all it took was me actually like sitting down and thinking, what can I do for this to happen? So if you plan and then you embody the plan and stick to the plan, this plan might not work out, but that's doing that and like saying, I look at my videos, what's working? Whenever I'm teaching, people seem to really like it because I do it simplistically. I just say how I learned it in like plain English, and it worked out. And I think it'll continue to work out. And if I continue bringing value, more people will come. Because really my end goal is give enough valuable stuff that people will buy the stuff I want to sell. Because I don't ever plug my lessons on here because I'm like, nah, I want to give a little bit more for that. But right now I'm working on just a little resource packet. All it's going to be is like maybe a PDF of some exercises, some things like visualizations of how I picture music in general to get you to embody being a guitar player. And a lot of stuff I share for free because I'm like, oh, it's a quick little doodle. I write it down, people like. But I do want to sell something eventually. I don't want to sell anything that no one wants to buy. Like, I don't want to convince you to buy something. I want to make something that you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that helps a lot, bro. This looks genius. So yeah, that's also coming, and that's probably gonna be a part of the thing, like of me making the video. So the video is gonna be free, but then I'll like have extra resources in case. That was a long ad, but yeah. But Yeah, that's what I think you need to be a good guitar player. Like most of my gigs, someone calls me. I just played a wedding gig, and let's talk about pricing really quick. My every time I've given someone like a price who has like asked me about photography, every time I've given them a price, I feel like they agree way too quickly. Like almost like that's it, yeah. Even if I think it's way more than my skills are actually paid, I'm like, wow, I must be really undervaluing myself. Like when I was working preschool teacher, I did the graduation photos and I did the candids and all that stuff, and then their cap and gown pics. And like the director was like, "Yeah, we love that price." And I was like, "Love that price?" And she gave me a vibe like, "Oh yeah, that's for that, of course, bro. Yeah, you're hired." And they all came out well. People like the cat. Why? These animals hear me making a video and they go crazy. That's the force of resistance. Whenever there's something like getting in your way, that's an obstacle that like is trying to make you better. And I learn every time that if that obstacle keeps popping up, you got to do something about it. And that's another step on the path to the process of getting paid, of doing this, blah, 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 whatever career path you take. If I've carved out a niche for me, I feel like anybody, like I've always heard people talking about the niche for me. You always think, how can I? Maybe that works for other people, but me, that's the only thought blocking you from what you want. Like the fact that I get paid to do all the like buying a drone. Someone's like, hey, come do this drone thing for me. I was like, oh, money that way. I got a gig the first day I had a camera because someone saw me with it and they asked if I could do the job. I said, yeah, I have a video on that too. The like I think yeah, that'd probably be one of the strongest contributors to me getting paid for one of the strongest contributors to me getting paid for making my for guitar, for photography, for drone work is just people knowing that I do it. Like there's people who need what you have. Like I always think everything's oversaturated because I see so much online. My feed is just everybody doing the thing I want to be doing. But every time someone has a need, they're like, I've been looking for someone to do this. Here you are. The more people who know what you do, and if they think you do it well, the more money you'll make. Like people will see me with a guitar, like you play guitar? Hey, can you come do this for me? People will see me with a camera. Hey, can you come do this for me? And sometimes it's without even seeing my work. I mean, good work. If they do that without seeing my work, imagine if you show them good work. You show them stuff that they need. If you're feeling a need, I think that's the fastest way to make money. Like you can go do stuff, but from all like the business content I've consumed, because I've been consuming it for a year straight, audiobooks, physical books, writing it down, like writing it out. They always talk about one mistake they all make is if you do create something, but then if you create something, make sure it's something they need. I met Zedd at Las Vegas for TwitchCon. The question I answered was, they said, what's Zedd's most popular song? And I thought, I didn't raise my hand because I'm like, oh, the people were gonna get that. No one did, and I raised my hand and I said, Clarity. And they're like, yeah, you get to meet Zedd, cool. And I met him and I wanted to make sure I wasn't being too, like, just trying to, hey Zedd, how do I do this? I asked him, what's your greatest non-musician tip you can give somebody who wants to make, 'cause I am a musician, but I said, what's your greatest like just life tip for someone who wants to do something? He said, just make sure whatever you're doing or whatever you're trying to make is something people want or need, something that can actually help, something that's useful. And Zedd being the guy, like a successful guy, I love the insight he gave me because before he even answered my question, he asked me more questions to make sure he was answering my question correctly. What a guy. That's honestly about it. Thank you guys for all the support. We might have made it under 10, I don't know. I'm gonna check later. But thank you guys for all the support, and that's pretty much my whole tip on getting money is go do what you wanna do it well, be likable, and look like someone who can do the job. Embody it, manifest it, do something, bro. Literally those just do it commercials, just do anything, as long as you're doing something.